Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Advocacy. Of course, I'm the founder of Advocacy, Paula Armstrong, and I have my capable co host, Madeline. And we
Hello.
also have Marcus as our guest today. We are so happy to have Marcus. And I won't, as always, I don't like to kind of give information on the guest. I'll let him introduce himself. So, Marcus, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Marcus Whitman. I am have autism spectrum disorder and ADHD, and I see myself as an advocate for the disability community as well as um, would say that I try and advocate for different causes as well.
Okay. How old are you, Marcus?
I am 33 now.
Okay. Now, what area did you grow up in, Marcus?
Uh, so for the since my family moved to Maryland in the late 90s, early 2000s, we have primarily been in the Anne Arundel County, Maryland area.
Okay.
We prior to that we moved around a lot since my dad is was in the military at the time, so
Okay.
we moved to different places before we finally moved here.
Okay. So you are what they call a military brat, would you say?
I guess so. Uh,
Okay. Okay. Well, Marcus, what I would like to do is I would like to start from, the beginning because naturally we want to talk about, where you are and how you did graduate from college, which I think is an awesome accomplishment. I will say this. I was in a partnerships program with Marcus, and Marcus just we went to Maryland. It was on D-Day. We went to the Maryland House of, I think it was the Assembly House. I think it was Marcus.
um,
Um,
yeah, I
yes.
can jump in real quick. Yeah,
Okay.
we were at the Maryland General Assembly, and
Yes.
then for Developmental Disabilities Day at the legislature, and um, yes, we were part of a small group of our partners class that took the tour of the state house.
Yes. And I was so impressed because as we were going through, Marcus was giving us a tutorial. I mean, he was giving us a history lesson. And I was like, how do you know all this stuff? Because I'm going to be honest, I didn't know any of it. And I was just so impressed by his knowledge. I mean, as we were just going through, they had little signs that just tell that was my first time there. But they had little signs telling us about the history, and Marcus just, I mean, he broke it down to us. So I was just totally impressed with him. I was totally impressed with, his education, the way he spoke and everything. So, with that being said, that's how we connected. And I just was like, I have to have him on the show because for me, it gives other people hope when they say, "Oh, you won't do this and you can't do this." We want to spotlight Marcus to show what you can do. So, Marcus, with that being said, let's go back to the beginning when you were diagnosed from the time you were younger. And I guess you can't speak from your parents' standpoint, but you can speak for yourself. From when you were younger, you were diagnosed. Tell us how you felt different. Tell us how you felt. Did you feel included? How did you feel? And I know it was a little different because you guys were moving around different places. Give us a snapshot of your upbringing.
Okay, so um, I know I was diagnosed probably around the time I was entering elementary school, if I remember from looking at my medical records. But I didn't fully understand a lot of this, and then by the time we moved to Maryland and I started elementary school, um, that's when uh, first I was in the normal classes for part of the day, and then uh, go for select lessons in special education for different class periods in the first, and then second grade. They started doing like mixing. From what I recall, they started mixing it more, like do a couple of the normal classes, then go to special education class for a couple more classes. Then think it was like more of a mix from what I recall in second grade. Then by third grade, my parents, particularly my mom, pushed the school board to put me in the special education program full time. And I did change elementary schools because part of it is the school kept moving these special education programs. So third grade I went to a elementary school on base at Fort Meade, but then um the following year I went to a different elementary school because while I was in third grade, that's when 9/11 happened. So security got tighter on base. So they moved these special education programs that I was into another school. And then after elementary school, I went to a private school for special education programs. What um, used to be called the Hannah More School. I went there for middle and high school. I say it was formerly called Hannah More because it's combined with some other schools, gone through some various name changes. And I think the organization that took over running my middle slash high school did close that school last I heard a couple years ago. So, um, but I didn't really learn more about. I knew I had some by middle school. I knew I had a some type of disability. Didn't really know about it, what it was necessarily until like high school started asking more questions, and my parents did confirm with me. And um, during high school, um, like representatives from um, different disability programs from the state were thinking that I wasn't going to be able to complete high school in the 4 years, and that was also when the No Child Left Behind programs were intact. So they were talking about keeping me in high school till I was 21, and even taking me off the diploma track. And there was talk that I wouldn't even be able to go to college, let alone graduate. But I not only was able to graduate high school in the 4 years, I went to community college uh, part time for a while. I got my associate's degree, and I eventually went on to get my bachelor's degree.
Well, I can certainly say you have proved, excuse me, you have proved them wrong. You have did it. You did it. Went on, like I said, the high school through high school to college. I'm proud of you. I'm really proud of you. Let me ask you, growing up, I don't like to use the word different, but did you feel, how were you socially? Did you make friends or anything?
Um, I would say um, it could be hard to make friends. Like had when I was younger, there were some kids that I guess at the time I considered friends, but like just I'll just say there wasn't enough in common and different interests grew, and also like we didn't um talk as much or do as much. I would say I made more friends, by the time I went to middle and high school,
Okay, okay.
and then um I would say I've made more friends like working some different like retail and customer service jobs, and then even in college at Towson I did make some more friends. I've stayed in touch with a couple of people I've made friends with. Um, I'll see them like occasionally,
Good.
depending on like everyone's schedule.
Right. Absolutely. So you say you went to Towson. What did you get
Yeah,
your degree in? What was your, edu- your said your degree?
it was in business administration with a concentration in human resources management.
Oh wow, that's great. That is wonderful. I love it. That's great. Like I said, you proved them wrong.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I definitely do. Marcus, tell me this. How did you come into who you were? I mean, I know just piggybacking off of what Madeline is saying as far as the friendship thing. How did you kind of navigate your differences like while going to school? I know a big part of some of that could be the family support, but how did you realize that you were different and how did you navigate those differences?
Um, kind of say part of it was really learning going through community college and even working part time in retail had to like really get to that kind of forced me to like I would say force, but I guess it put me in situations where had to better learn about myself, like understand my strengths and weaknesses, how
Mm.
because like college like the professors aren't going to stay on top of you about doing your work. They're going to tell you what the assignments are and tell you when the assignments are due and all and what the expectations. But uh ultimately my responsibility to do it in a timely manner. So like had to kind of learn the hard way, like be like you need to block out time to do these assignments, actually do this, you have to do this, cut, be like, okay, have to uh, want to actually stay on top of this stuff and not have to repeat classes. Um, have to actually really get into the material to do it and take advantage of resources on campus. What I also tried to do, like with some, like when I was taking some math classes and I had this one retail job, I tried to like during the semesters, like I when I'm setting like limited availability for like maybe a night or two during the week and then full availability during weekends, like tried to like talk with my managers. It's like, hey, I think I can do, let's say I'll do like I can give you some nights, Mondays, Wednesdays, and uh weekends. Like I like so I can do these. Need to be available to take advantage of like the like different tutoring labs. We'll say resources on campus, and it's like this lab is open from like 9 to 3 during this day, so I'll need like Tuesday, Thursdays off. So since I have classes that day and more of the resources are available that day, it's like, oh hey, this semester the like uh labs for math help, it's like um open like 9 to 3, whatever. So it's like daily can I I'll do some nights or it's like or hey, if you're gonna schedule me to like open, it's like hey, can I be available to get off during this time so I can um get back over to the college to get some help on this subject. Tried to work with the managers I had. I would say most part over the years I've had some pretty good um managers in retail and customer service jobs. There are uh, I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's been good environments where I could um get support from them, learn from them, feel like I could talk to them if I was concerned about something or
So you
like
got to talk, and it taught you, in a sense, like you have self advocating. It taught you to be able to speak up for yourself. It taught you to be able to advocate for yourself. Like you say, if you're in school and school required the study time for you to take advantage of the labs, it puts you in a place where you could go and talk to your managers and say, hey, I need this time off. And I mean, and I'm gonna be real, I taught my son that my son even had problems with that. So when you think about that, we are trying to teach our young people that you got to advocate for yourself. And he doesn't have a disability, but that's sometimes he will come and say, well, mom, they didn't do this and that. I said, but you got to go to them and you have to be able to talk to people and let them know what your needs are. And so that you can, and that's called advocating.
yeah. I will say that part of how really became an advocate and got me started is like some different past jobs I've worked under like managers or supervisors that I will say what I would describe as a more negative environment to where they there's no responsibility taken about anything. The way they some of them want to handle situations, they just it would feel as though they're putting you down. Um,
Mm,
there's like different levels of unprofessionalism. I would
mm,
say like making comments to people, how they talk to people, stuff like
mm,
that. That taught me like with one of them had to really learn that got me like especially when like manager would just say stuff that would contradict the company policies and
mm,
stuff or um the way they talked. uh, I would just started reading the handbook and
mm,
like I even like talked to one of my managers. It's had I had when I talked to the one manager about like the open door policy, I had to be careful about how I edit. We had to be careful about how we talked because he couldn't say like, "Oh yeah, just go ahead and call human resources and report that person, get them fired." Like
mm,
he could be like to kind of describe the situation. It's like I have this concern about member of management. This is what's happening. It's like, would this be in the according to open door policy? Would this be where I would call our human resources person? And he'd be like, yes, I would. Uh, from what you're describing, I'm saying that sounds like a situation where the next step in the open door policy would be like go to our human resources person.
I love it. I love it because I think in order for you to be an advocate, you have to make yourself knowledgeable, and that's wherever
Mhm.
you go. So I commend you for taking that stand and understanding your rights as well as understanding like your the policy, because a lot of times people are not aware of the policy, and so when it happens they're just shooting the breeze and without
Mhm.
understanding that no, you have to, it's protocol too, there are proper protocols in place. If you feel like you've been mistreated, if you feel like different things have happened, it's protocols in place. So I commend you for that, and I commend you for again being able to go to college and understand that you can do it. Now tell me this, Marcus, was it a part of you that wanted to show people that you could do it? Because I know those people said, hey, you will not graduate on the diploma track. How did you feel hearing that? And how did you take a stand like, I'm going to show you guys? Or how did you feel about that process?
When I kept getting told like I wouldn't be able to do this or I couldn't graduate with a diploma, I wouldn't be able to hold down a job, let alone a full time job, which I will say, back in uh, February, in my current retail slash kind of, I guess you'd consider it a retail and customer service job, I did take a full time job within the company there. Um, so, like, being able to show them that I could work, whether it's part time, let alone do full time, graduate, that kind of get everything that um motivated. That was part of the motivation to show them that I could do it.
That's great. And I just like I said, what Paula was saying, you do a lot of self advocating, which is wonderful. How old are you again, Marcus?
33.
33. Yes, to be young, and even when you were talking when you were in high school, how you, like I said, you advocated for yourself. You used your resources. You found resources on your own, which is great. And the fact that you found the motivation because people were proving you wrong, saying that you couldn't do it, but you went on and did it. So, what are you currently doing now?
Um, so I currently work in my full time in my retail job. Um, I'm a I so I've changed departments twice. Well, I guess three times within the last 3 months. So I started uh, when I met Paula during our partners class. I had a role as a DSP. Uh, uh, no longer did that like couple years ago, and um, after kind of deciding I didn't want to be a DSP again, was
What
trying to
is a
find
DSP? What is tell
uh,
us?
direct support staff. They direct. Sorry, I'm so used to using the acronym.
That's right.
But a direct support staff is usually someone who um, works for an agency, whether it's a nonprofit or a directly working for the state minister's disability support services to someone according to their plan and ensures they get their needs, but um, decided I didn't want to do that work again. I was looking for some other stuff. I decided since like other applications were going anywhere, I decided to reach out to the current company I work for. Like I worked at this exact store I do now like years ago as a seasonal employee a few times. So like
Okay.
popped in, left a message for the payroll clerk and like, hey, I'm interested in coming back. Um, she called me the next day. It's like, hey, I heard you were interested in coming back. She's like, we are hiring. So go ahead, put in an application and we'll see about we can pull your application. Got an interview within the week and then uh one of the managers that did my this company they do 2 round interviews. So one of the managers that did my first round interview, I worked with her years ago, was a seasonal person. She remembered, and I would say part of how I advanced was she remembered uh, everything I did, and I felt like I did answer the questions well enough, and then interviewed with another manager for the second part. The second inter round was pretty straight. for just some basic questions. Why'd you leave your last job? What do you want to do? That kind of stuff. Told her and got the offer. And so been there. And then I've been kind of doing some different opportunities. I tried being an optician, someone who works to fill the prescriptions for glasses, adjust glasses, all that. Did that for a little over a year before I decided to transfer out. And then back in February, accepted a full time role doing stocking for the night crew. Um, I kind of decided around my 30-day mark wasn't for me, so I transferred back to my previous department. Was allowed to keep my full time status. I've now just kind of been doing some different things there. Uh, Either helping the cashiers expedite the line, running self checkout lines, being the greeters at the door,
Mm.
running some different marketing tables.
That's awesome. So you are all around person. When I'm just hearing you and what you do, the first thing I like is that you try things. It's not like you're limiting yourself. You try it and you may say, hey, I don't like that. You're doing no different than anyone else. And then when you don't like it, you go back and try something else. I love that, Marcus.
Yeah, I will say with part of why I transferred out of being an optician was um, so different states require different rules for being certified.
Hmm.
The company decided to, for internal consistency, that like they want everyone to be certified. If you come
Mm-hmm.
in to the department without the certifications, they give you 2 years to take the two tests.
Okay.
Look, by your first year, you should have your first certification and be working on your second. And by your second, you need to have your second certification.
Hmm.
I did try and get my first certification around the first, close to my 1 year mark. I didn't pass it. I'd been studying off and on,
Hmm.
and then like um, finally around uh, December, January, my regional, who supervises the optical department, said that told my manager that I have until February to uh, before this February of this year to take the test again. Uh, First test again. If not, I have to transfer out.
Hmm.
I kind of decided in January. I talked it over with my manager. I'm like, hey, I don't think this is for me. I'm just gonna transfer out.
Hmm.
He
Well, at
was
least you had that as
understanding.
an option. I love the fact that you even had that as an option.
Yeah. I will say I probably would have gotten bounced out sooner by the regional. Just I wasn't the highest priority on the radar. There was a problem with one of the other stores on the region just essentially falling apart. So that helping that store get themselves situated was a kind of higher priority.
Okay. Okay. Now, do you drive, Marcus?
Yes.
Okay. So when did you get your license?
Um, I got my license back in 2018. Um, I had my learner's permit after I graduated high school, but I ended up letting that expire, and I didn't get around to getting the learner's permit again
Mhm.
till around 2016. Like,
Mhm.
part of what motivated me to get the learner's permit again was it's like I want to be independent, I want to
I
get a
love.
better job. It's
Mhm.
like this retail job I'm at, don't like it, don't like the environment, not a fan of how this current manager is running things. So like taking the test, I'm especially like when I'm trying to make sure that I get enough questions right that I can pass. Like after like reading the question, and I also
Mhm.
submitted the necessary paperwork to um get accommodations to where I was at the computer and have headphones and the computer could reread read and I can play back the audio. Like I would read the question, listen to what it said, and even um needed kind of take the extra moment
Mhm.
to like just kind of stop and think, be like, okay, it's describing this situation. Let's see, I do A B C D here or X Y Z.
So ultimately, getting your license, and I love that you even went on to, and I'm Madeline, I'm gonna let you jump in at this
Mhm.
point. But I love the fact that you mentioned being independent because most of our disabled community, physically, mentally, cognitively, they want what we're pushing them for my daughter is to be as independent as possible. And like you say, getting your license, it opened up so many doors to you. You could move to another job, you could go where you wanted, you could do all of that type of stuff. And that's where that is so important when we talk about our disability community, is making them as independent as possible. And I do believe that that independence empowers you, it makes you know
Mhm.
that you can do things. So I know that that's something with your all the stuff that you're saying. I think just the fact that you realize your capabilities, it helped you and it pushed you and even further to be able to do more than what you even expected.
Mhm. Exactly. Yep, that is so true. Now, Marcus, Ed, let's say you have a high schooler. He comes up to you and he has almost the same disabilities you have, and he needs some advice on how to go about his life because he's having some struggling issues, with what to do and how to deal with different people. What kind of advice would you give him or her?
Um, I would just um try and listen, understand what they're struggling with. Um, I would want to try and give them meaningful advice that by like kind of understanding what they're going through and not just say, oh well, I did this, so this should
Mm-hmm.
uh work for you. Like I'd want them to say I'd want them to understand that they can do uh there's things they can do. They need to I would try and give them advice, get them to understand what their strengths are, what try and get them to understand their weakness is kind of what they struggle with, try and get them to also find their passion, find get that channel that, I would say.
That's great. That's good advice. And for self, like I said, self advocating is very important. Very, very important to do. And like I said, this is just awesome. I'm proud of you. We just met, and this is great. What's one thing, if you had a wish that you want to see change in the future for the disability world?
Um, I would like to see a change, especially in the disability community, where disability voices are actually heard more, where
Mm,
there's the disability community not only gets a genuine seat at the table, the community should actually be the ones leading the conversation.
all right, that is great. Good. That's great.
That is awesome.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, not feeling like, like we've given you this. No, I've earned it. I like that. I like that because I think that sometimes, I know with my daughter being nonverbal, people don't think that she has the right to say, I don't like this, or I don't want to do this. So I think that that is very important to not take their choice away. I love that. Now, Marcus, tell me this. I know we've talked about weaknesses and strengths, and I heard you saying that that was something you would help someone to talk to them about when if they came to you for advice. I love that question, Madeline. Um, what are some of your weaknesses and what are some of your strengths?
So I would say part of my weakness comes from um, I have what's called executive dysfunction that stems from the ADHD and autism. That's where like I know I need to do things or need to get stuff done or have with the executive dysfunction. There's times I have to actually be like, no, you need to actually focus on this. Don't find the distraction, or you can't just sit around um, or just find every distraction.
Mhm.
There's stuff like that, and say times when I'm communicating, have to try and make sure that I'm getting more to the point. Not doing this roundabout uh, thing or getting sidetracked or going through like every side detail, connecting every branch, side route there is. So like what I try and do is like um stop and think what is the most clear way I can say this is what I've done or hey this is the situation.
Mhm.
It's like I need to add this little bit of context here. Like I try and do that. Think of like what I can say that including the necessary context, but is not um, giving all the unnecessary details or
Mhm.
every like creating multiple tangents, I will say.
Okay, so what is your strength? I see a lot of strengths, but what are your strengths, you believe?
I would so I would say like in college and even um doing part of like interview process for uh certain jobs have been taking like assessments,
Hmm.
and I would say that mo- several of these strength assessments said like uh collaborating or working with others is one of my strengths, as well as engagement.
Hmm. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. I know you say that you're driving. And first of all, I love the fact that I do want to go back to that strength. I do want to ask about the driving thing. But I met someone at a conference and they had ADHD. And for most people don't know, executive functioning goes kind of hand in hand with ADHD. I learned that about my daughter. I didn't even know that. Um and executive functioning, I didn't even know about that, but that is the ability, like you say, to stay organized and keep things like a calendar. Like I sometimes I'm all over the place, so it's hard for me to do that. But one thing that this young lady told me at the conference is that for her, when she has ADHD, she said it felt like it was multiple TVs going on in her brain, and she was trying to focus on each of the TV shows. And so what she told me is when she was kind of managing it when she was in high school, but once she went to college, it became overwhelming for her. And she had to put measures in place, like she had to take copious notes. She had to do so much to stay on task. What are some of those things? I heard you say that that was a weakness. What were some of the things that you did to stay focused? Because I know that was something that you had to do more in college. Did you take notes? Did you keep a calendar? What did you do, Marcus, to make that a strength?
So especially when I got to Towson, by the time I went to Towson, I was taking um that was the first time I did a full course load and went as a student first full time. And then since I was up there, um one thing um kind of had to learn to do was not only manage my time better, like create specific times to study and go over notes, but even like getting involved with different activities. Like I went to Towson as a junior, so like one of the things I decided to do was join the student run newspaper. Um, so like I was eager to try and get a story each week. Uh, but that also like was meant that I was kept piling onto my plate without like taking into account everything that I need to do. So like senior year, like even like June my second semester in junior year, I tried to like work on focusing more on what I needed, what I can limit. It's like, okay, I'll do I can, like, looking at my syllabus and, and looking at all the class assignments, like, okay, gotta do discussion board, 2 discussion boards this week. Be like, okay, what do I need to do for the discussion boards? Like, okay, this one says read said topic, um, write your scenario and your professional opinion, how you'd handle this, or it's like, and then you have to respond to someone else's post and even reply to comments on your post was like one discussion board. It's like, okay, so my first post is due by like Wednesday. My replies are due by like Friday. It's like, okay, so let me check the discussion boards. This for that class, okay. Have to do all the discussion boards for that class by Sunday. It's like, okay, this one, I'll look at the topic. It's like, okay, what are the other assignments I have to do for that class? And the other one, okay, these classes, okay, I have a online learning module that I have to do like 3 assignments. Okay, let me try and break down those. Like, okay, my like, oh, it's Monday, so I don't have class until this evening. So let me just try and do like couple assignments here, study here. That's what I tried to do my senior year. And also in my senior year was also when COVID hit. So mid through the spring semester, everything shifted to completely online. So I had to really reevaluate how I did everything since I struggled in the past with online classes. So it's like, okay,
So
so
that was even worse than, yeah, trying to do it online.
yeah, it was an uphill battle. And then I still managed to do everything. Um, my senior year, the main things I was doing were trying to focus on my classes,
Hmm.
as well as still writing for the newspaper. Then me and my friends, we founded our own student organization. So I was trying to properly run that. I will
Wow,
say
Marcus.
that um, during COVID, uh,
You
I
stay really
focused
busy.
more on doing my academics that like running my student organization really kind of took a back burner. So like I say like even before COVID, we struggled with like engaging our members consistently,
Hmm.
and then COVID made it worse since like myself and some of the others were like, oh, we'll do this. That organization we were running was like a social and kind of gaming type club. So like we're like, oh well, we can do this online or this. We're
Hmm.
like talking about
Hmm.
doing some stuff, but we never felt through with it.
Wow, you stay really busy. I think, what year did you graduate from Towson?
Um, I crammed my last 3 classes in over the summer of 2020. So like I did 2 classes together during the first mini master, and then
Hmm.
one class at the for the last half of the mini master.
You were there at the same time my son was there. My son was there. He graduated 2018. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. My son went to Towson in 2018. He graduated 2022. So he was a junior. He was in a sophomore year when COVID hit. And so he was in the, I think he was in the, was he in the first or second part of his sophomore year? Well, anyway, he spent his junior year at home, and then he went back in his senior year. So he graduated 2022. But I did want to throw this last question. I know we're running out of time, but your license, I know you drive, your license, does it have anything on your license that identifies you as having autism so that if you are ever pulled over, that the police, because I think they're doing that basically in every state now. Does that exist?
Um, no, I don't have any identification.
Mhm.
Um, I have not felt the need I needed to, and I guess I can say I have the privilege of that. I don't feel like I need that,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
and also, I don't have any uh identification or restriction on my license
Okay.
that like identifies me as autistic. The only like restriction uh on my license is that I have to just wear my corrective eyewear.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, that's a great thing because my husband just sent me something in another state that the police, I think it was in Alabama, and it was so nice. I think it was my husband that sent it. No, it was another young lady that I exercise with. She sent it to me on Facebook. And it was, I want to say it was either in Tennessee or Alabama. And the police was the one that put that in place because I think they were saying that if at any given time the young man was pulled over, he could kind of act like in a way that may make the police a little, fearful. And so they had the police was the one that kind of spearheaded this to get the license that shows it's a regular license, I think, but it just shows that he's autistic, so that everybody is aware of that. And there is no, well, I didn't know he couldn't. And I think he spoke. I think he was verbal, but
It has like
I
a
just
butterfly on it.
well, I think in
Yeah,
Maryland it's a butterfly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
um, it's the butterfly is the most common for like, and usually indicates like an invisible disability.
Yes.
Maryland
Mm.
also has the option that you can pick up from the NBA called the blue card. It's this physical blue card that just indicates you have like some type of
Oh,
invisible
okay.
Mm,
disability. It doesn't say what it is.
okay.
The
Hmm.
butterfly usually indicates a specific disability,
Okay.
but like the blue card, some people prefer that they can just pull that out and when they are able to, they can
Mm.
have the blue card.
Hmm.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you
And
for that.
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, I feel that I'm privileged enough. I don't need to have that indicator
Mhm.
on my driver's license or the need to have the blue card.
Because you can speak up for yourself. It's just, I think it's for people that, are frazzled, easily frazzled, and people that may not be able to advocate for themselves. So I do believe that that is something that, I think it's great to have that option. And so with this being said, I am going to do my closing remarks. I appreciate you, Marcus, for joining us. I really admire you. I really applaud you. And I think it starts to from a lot of times from family with the support that you get from your family. It empowers you and it lets you know, hey, to speak up for yourself and to advocate for yourself. So I personally, I don't know, we didn't really get to talk about your family, but I do believe a lot of that does come from families. And I just appreciate you and I appreciate what you show us because for me, I'm always willing to talk to someone because I would love to hear and understand more about my daughter. Talking to you helps me to understand more about her because she's nonverbal, because she can't tell me. I love to talk to people that have autism, that have ADHD, because with some things I may not understand about her, I learn it through others. So I appreciate you coming to advocacy. I appreciate you sharing your story. I pray that it empowers others to stand up for themselves, to be advocates for themselves, and to understand and know that whatever labels people put on you or whatever thing that they say that you can't do, that doesn't mean that you can't. You've shown that. So thanks again for coming to advocacy. I'm going to turn it over to Madeline for closing, and then I'll let you close us out, Marcus.
Yes, Marcus, thank you for again allowing us your time and you sharing your skills and strengths, weaknesses, and the fact that you are self advocating. That's a wonderful thing. You're taking charge of your own life. And it sounds like you were doing that from a young age. And of course, with you're having your family foundation, the support really does help.
Mhm.
And now you're taking it and you're showing the disability community, mentoring them, advocating for them. And I love that. I really do. And I want to see your soaring name pop up other places.
Yes,
Marcus Whitman. I'm really proud of you. I really am. And thank you.
Yeah.
Marcus.
Well, thank you for having me. I will say, been long road. I've part of what's quickly saying I will. What's got me on this road is I've had some uh support from family, some different teachers in middle and high school, some college professors that have, oh, I would say were very student centric and like pushing all their students to like explore new opportunities, look for things to do, like not just find their passion, but find stuff that they like doing, even try things that don't necessarily interest them at
Mhm.
first. Try that.
Mhm.
And then I've had some really good coworkers, managers that got me helped me get on this road. Like one of my former managers encouraged me to um ex- major in human resources. Like he just told me, like when I was telling him about considering it, he's like, yeah, especially like uh you'd be good at it. You very engaged with people, want to help them. Plus, us working in that environment with that other manager, you have firsthand experience on
Mhm.
how to deal with someone like that.
Mhm.
And then what got me into joining partners in this other advocacy work, one of me and Paula's fellow classmates and partners, can give a shout out to Tammy Caskell.
Hey,
Me and her worked.
Tammy.
Me and her worked for the same agency. She was not my direct supervisor, but worked with her a few times. That she's like, "Hey, Arc Maryland's doing this project. How about I get you in touch with them and um, you can talk about getting involved with this." From there, Arc Maryland would reach out to me. It's like, "Hey, you want to help on this project? You want to get involved here?" And then both Arc Maryland and Tammy were like, "Hey, you should join partners in policy making."
Hmm.
Mm.
You are doing it, and I definitely I like Madeline said, I expect to see more of you and what you are accomplishing. I expect to see that. I expect to see so much more, and I love it. I definitely love it. So I thank you just again for coming on the show, for sharing your story, and for empowering other parents and other individuals with disabilities to let them know that they can do it. Um, And I'll close out too. I also want to let everybody know that our raffle is coming to an end on Friday. We want to do a live drawing. We're going to do a live drawing on Friday, June the 5th. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, please get your tickets. They're $25 for two tickets, or you can buy one for 15. But on our page, it shows the different gifts we're giving away. We're giving away 150 for each category for movie and gas. We all need gas for dinner and gas and for groceries and gas. So if you have not purchased your ticket, reach out, purchase your ticket. And if you don't need it, support another family that does need it. You know, some of those families that don't get out, some of those families that's just giving their all to, you know, their kids, give them one. Put their name in the bucket for us to, you know, potentially pick their name. So if you haven't purchased your ticket yet, please join us. It's our fundraiser. It's exciting, and we are excited. This is our first year doing that, and we are excited. So again, this is the last day to purchase is June the 5th. We're doing the drawing. I want to say, Madeline, are we doing it on the 5th or the 6th? I think we're
The
doing it on
sick.
the Okay, we're doing it on the 6th. We're doing
Yeah.
the drawing on the 6th. So today is the 2nd. You have 4 more days, 3 more days to purchase your tickets. So get your tickets, join us, support advocacy. We're trying to support our parents. We're definitely trying to do more for our parents. So with that being said, we thank you again, Marcus. Thank you,
Yes.
Madeline.
Thank
And I
you.
will say, please join us for another episode of Advocacy on next Thursday. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
No
Thank
problem.
you.